Welcome to the Enchanted Circle Podcast, and welcome to our very first Onyx Storm breakdown. Yay! Welcome to our 18th episode, guys. We are a new podcast of three best friends that have known each other since high school that love fantasy books. So here we are doing what we love most, which is obviously reading, theorizing, and having a great time together. From meeting in high school to reading Harry Potter, Twilight, and the Mortal Instruments series, to reading Fourth Wing and ACOTAR, guys, this is it. We are doing our very first deep dive episode of Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. Yay! I'm Carolina. Welcome to episode 18. Guys, it's finally here. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. And thank you for being a part of this journey with us. So we have restructured our episodes to a deep dive, guys. Welcome. To those of you who are new, we did a full recap of Fourth Wing and Iron Flame in preparation of Onyx Storm in our previous episodes. And now we are doing deep dives and breakdowns moving forward. Also, if you have questions or theories you want us to discuss, please let us know. We would love to mention it here. Guys, I started the stage of grief where I am in TikTok theory land. I have officially joined and I am spiraling. Side note, Bella is almost finishing, guys. She came on here. She's like, I'm going to join tonight. And me and Steph were like, no, we are not ruining this for you. She just got to chapter 33. If you know, you know. So absolutely not. So she'll join us next week. We love you, Bella.
Welcome to our first Onyx Storm episode. Are we not the luckiest people ever? It's been a crazy 2 weeks since the release of Onyx. I am still not in the land of living. I have the worst book hangover that I have had since forever. All day long, I just think of Xaden and Violet and Tairn and Sigil and Andarna and everything that happened in this book. I actually started Zodiac Academy by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti because I just kind of want to feel something again. And everybody says it's actually such a cutie little series, and it's a lot of books in the series, so I love it. It's going to keep me entertained for a little bit. Let me know your thoughts if you actually read Zodiac Academy. Is it a good choice after Onyx Storm? For now,
all right, let's just get into content warnings. There will be spoilers for the entire book of Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, including all of Xaden's POV chapters. If you have not read any of these books and his new POVs, please come back once you do. We wouldn't want to spoil anything for you. We may mention interviews or posts from Rebecca Yarros, so spoilers with that. And this podcast is rated R due to the topics we discuss about this adult book. Also, we tend to curse a lot, so please be aware of children listening. Let's get into it. All right, guys, chapter summary. Today we're doing prologue through chapter 5. So here we go. Starting with the prologue, where Violet is following Xaden to the dungeons, basically to see Jack. What's he doing down there, Violet? To see his brother from a Venin mother. Sorry.
I actually love it because, brother theory. Mm-hmm. Mad woman, brother theory. Mm-hmm. Again, even though that's not what happened. But I'm still
he has other brothers, though. To see his brother from a Venin mother, Jack asks Barlow. Violet is being sneaky with her sidekick Andarna, but Jack Barlow just tells Xaden to go find someone else to you-know-what. Violet hears their discussion and calls in the one person she trusts to put Xaden first, and that's Imogen. Chapter 1. 2 weeks after those events, Tairn and Violet are on patrol with their squad. Violet is reminded of her mother due to the storm they're currently patrolling in. Violet. Almost getting killed by accident by Riddick and Atrum, ESL girly here. Tairn gave a lesson to them, ouch. Violet's saddle needed fixing, but Tairn won't let Zaddy touch him and gave him a new nickname, quote, the Dark One, end quote. But Tairn has Violet's back. Everyone wants to go home, but they need an alliance to save the Paromish civilians, for now. Ara Benhaven is still wing leader, ew, and newsflash, she hates our squad, double ew. Mira is somewhere figuring out something, and in comes Imogen on Xaden duty, commanded by Lieutenant Tavis. Ay.
Ay.
Violet and Imogen have a plan. Anyway, advice from Imogen is for Violet and Xaden to sleep separately. And Violet is like, I think not. Then we get to visit Sawyer in the infirmary, who has a love note from Jasenia. Then boom, Venin are in Besgaiath. Dun dun dun.
Lord.
Chapter 2. Our squad goes to find the Venin and defeat their asses, and Andarna is ready to roast them once Violet does. A scribe comes at them, not just any scribe, a Venin scribe. But Violet throws her dagger and marks the spot, his heart. Violet finds out what the Venin want, and it's jackass Barlow. Insert theophany here. Venin say not to kill Violet. Okay, that's weird. Then Zaddy and his shadows come in and save the squad. All threats annihilated in a heartbeat because no one hurts violence. But wait, Xaden wears a second lieutenant uniform? What's happening? Hi, Garrick. Insert heart emoji here. Xaden is like, Violet, what the fuck? Quote, why is it always you? End quote. I don't know, ma'am.
She's a baddie.
She is a baddie. I don't know, man, but you love her anyway. 1 hour later, after debrief with Panchek, who isn't phased, Venin came to rescue Barlow instead of attacking the Wardstone. Yikes. Xaden and Violet will not be sleeping separately. End of story. And Xaden consents Venin. Chapter 3. Violet is like, scared of you, Xaden? Never. Xaden warns Garrick to never suggest such a monstrosity of an idea to separate their sleeping arrangements, or else. Violet is about to meet with the highest ranked aristocrats of her kingdom. No big deal for Andarna. Llewellyn who? Representing Tyrandor? Okay. But Violet takes control of the meeting and says, I saved all your asses. Point blank period. Melgren ruins the fun by fighting back demands. The squad is led by Grady and whoever his ass chooses. Violet is like, Zaddy better go or else.
Zaddy better go.
I had a lot of fun.
Imagine she really was like up there. Hey, Zaddy better be on my list. He better be commanding me.
Exactly. I had a lot of fun with his summary.
I am obsessed.
Llewellyn hands her a small missive, and guess who? Takaris himself, saying she better hold on to her side of the bargain. Long story short, plan went to shit, so backup better work. Violet wakes up and notes how peaceful Xaden looks while he sleeps. Not for long, as they do the deed, but gasp as she notes 2 faint marks of discoloration, barely the shade lighter than the original stain. Our boy channeled. Damn. Chapter 4. Xaden is freaking out and says he can't lose control. Violet shares a memory with Xaden. Wait, when? How? More to the second signet? Something else? More on that later. Lindell sucks, but we like Llewellyn. Negotiations are as fragile as an eggshell. Peromiel is ready to walk out for many reasons. Who interrupts their moment together? Brennan and Garrick. Hey, boo. Llewellyn, Bodhi, and Imogen are all waiting. Imogen is jealous of Garrick being with a possible flyer. Yes. Let's ship them immediately. Who arrives? Mira, and she has news. They go to meet and find out. Bodhi asking if he needs to know. Brennan says no. Bodhi doesn't feel needed. Damn. Felix sends a new conduit. Mira gives Violet a wooden ruined practice disc with 3 ruins on it. Tissa is an artist. Imogen makes sure Violet's okay. Aw, besties forever. Mira and Brennan fight over Violet's mission. Mira throws a ruined disc at Brennan and says, presented to the Scenarium to forge an alliance. Chapter 5. Comforting that Xaden consents Venin while visiting Sawyer, the squad sees there's some gossip going around. What is it, you ask? It's Aura Benhaven causing havoc, demanding a flyer challenge a rider. Violet calls out for Dane to come, and Dane does without question. Aura holds a flyer at knife point. Kat is ready to fight her for fellow squad mate, and Violet is like, no, bish, and Kat tries to get in Violet's head by saying things, and Violet is like, shut the fuck up. Violet is like, Tairn, are you here? Tairn is like, you got this, sis. I'm going to bed. Let's just say Aura sucks. Dane is being attacked by the Navarian riders verbally so far, and Violet is like, fuck this. Aura says, quote, they're strongest against our strongest, end quote. And Andarna says, sis, Dane isn't the strongest, but is he though? Aura is about to roast Dane, but Violet throws her dagger and pins Aura's glove to the wooden support. Violet is like, fight me, bish. And that's chapter summary.
Oh, that was amazing. Okay,
thank
queen
you.
Behavior.
I had a lot of fun.
That was actually so much fun. It was like Wow. I
It
love
was
this.
giving. Okay.
It was giving.
It was giving. So, guys, let's get into it. So let's start with the prologue. Violet is talking to Andarna about Xaden. She says, quote, "Surely we can repair wherever his soul may have cracked," end quote. I found this beautifully ironic because at the end of Onyx Storm, when Violet told him, "I love you," right before he fully channeled, that love that she had for him had his wall of ice crack. And I love how Rebecca just tied this together because love will cure Xaden, in our opinion.
Absolutely. I mean, through love, they will be able to find a solution. Xaden is what anchors Violet, not only in her power, but in her life. Giving up is not an option for her. It's not an option for me. I don't have nothing to contribute. I got no power, but no giving up. I'm interested to know how to, quote unquote, cure the way Tairn tells Violet how Xaden is not the same and how it is noticeable that his soul is not the same. Bringing up Tairn, though, it makes me think of Sigale and how exactly she must be feeling directly after this happened. Andy remarks how she is incensed and Tairn is ragey and sad. Sad for Violet, sad for Sigale. It's actually kind of interesting that this sadness is coming from Tairn.
Oh, I agree. I expected more of Sigale in this book. She was very distant in this book. I feel like that is something to take note of.
I feel like she deals with her emotions kind of like how I deal with my emotions, which is shut down, put them in a little box in your brain, shove that box all the way in the back, and don't deal with it, but also kind of be a bitch to everybody who hurt you. Nice, Sigale.
Or she's like Xaden, who bottles everything up, doesn't tell a soul anything, you know?
What you're saying is, I'm Xaden.
Yeah, pretty much. So you're like Zaddy.
So I'm like Zaddy, but like I kind of want to be like Sigale. She's kind of badass.
But she is. She's like my favorite. I'm literally dying for her banter. Because in Xaden's POV chapters, her banter with him is just phenomenal. And I just need more of her. But Sigale, just know that I did note your absence, okay? I miss you. And when Andarna reassures Violet that, quote, "I will not be another battle you have to fight," end quote, I couldn't help but wonder, were Arik and Andarna in on this plan from the jump before her leaving? Now thinking about it, not in this exact moment, but maybe a little bit in the future, she was probably in on it with him. You know, I couldn't help but think like, wait, was this a double meaning? Was this something she's trying to tell us? But anyway, because it's as if she was telling Violet from the jump, like, don't worry, sis, I would never stress you or leave you. Arik definitely had a plan with either Andarna or Xaden or both, or who knows? Or it could have just been Xaden and Arik that worked together.
Personally, I don't believe Andarna had a plan with Arik at this point because she doesn't know anything about herself here. Later on, we do see her find out about herself and how the Irids actually communicate with other people. They're not very closed off like the dragons are. If anything, I actually do agree that Arik had a plan with Xaden because Xaden's intrinsic. I'm sure he knows what is going on in the prince's mind. But I love Violet not accepting that Xaden's soul is gone or that he is not hers. When she says the quote, "You just said, Carol," I think she meant it in a way that she won't disappoint Violet by not being with her fully in her choices. Violet has so much going on, so many people to worry about, and Andarna just secured that she doesn't need to worry about her. Their bond is solid.
Yes, I agree with you. And as I dove into the TikTok theory land, I agree. And okay, big thing here, guys. Okay, we did a whole post on this. And Andarna says, quote, "Magic feels different when I change color. Maybe my use of power in that moment altered the venin, weakened her enough to blister," end quote. So I, of course, naturally, I go back to Iron Flame.
Naturally.
Naturally. And Andarna had black scales at the time. And she breathed fire and killed that venin. But she weakened the venin, right? And then she ripped the venin's head off in that moment. So can we note that she can severely weaken venin with fire when she adorns her black scales? I wonder what power right. So I wonder what power does she have when she turns other colors? My little theory is that when she turns like iridescent, like that pearlescent color, I think that's going to be somehow the cure to venin. And I just want to note something very cute that a lot of people commented under our post, and they said that it's when she turns blue for Sigale. Oh,
Stop it right now.
When
Stop it right now.
When
Shut
I
the front door.
saw the first person write it, I was like, stop it. That would be so
Lord.
poetic.
So poetic. So poetic. I actually took this as she kind of pulled back layers, kind of like an onion, to peel back and remove that very magic from the Venin. No source of magic, no power. No power, no immunity.
And Andarna also says, quote, but if I'm right and I somehow altered that inadvertently while changing my scales, then the rest of my kind should know how to master that tactic, how to change him, end quote. So Andarna's kind of on this path to kind of like figuring it out. I just can't wait to see like what will her powers be. And it's not only going to stop at the cure, right? She has so many other colors to turn and see what happens. So
her magic, I think, with every color changes and it's going to be really cool. I know we see Xaden's POV at the end of Iron Flame, but can we talk about how Jack kind of warns Xaden away from Violet? I mean, even with this, in the next second, he's like, you can bring her yourself. Jack kind of gives us a little info, which is quite interesting because at the end of Onyx Storm, they say he knows too much. What does he know? He also lets us know when you reach the level of a sim, you forget about those you care for. I want to say that that's the level Xaden is at the end of this book, but yet he still loves and cares for Violet and Sigale and those Violet and him care for. He did not kill anyone in that Onyx Storm. He is a control daddy for sure.
First of all, I love that name, Control Daddy. Sign me up.
Control Daddy.
And I just want to note that is genius that you picked up on Jack saying what he said about Violet.
It's just, he just knows something. And I want to know what he knows.
And he didn't kill her.
And he didn't kill her. He saved her.
He saved her ass.
Andarna, though, is also a supportive ass baby girl because she recalls how she altered that Venin. And she hopes, as you mentioned earlier, that her kind will know how to change him back using that same technique. I love how Andarna says to Violet, quote, let us follow every possible path to a cure, end quote. Andy, I love you, but also why'd you leave, girl? Why are you down here and then you out later on?
But she came back.
She did emotional damage to me. She hurt me.
She did hurt me too.
She hurt me. She hurt me like deep in my soul. That was like, I get you, but also, how dare you? I want to point out that at the end of the prologue, Violet mentions how there is only one person she trusts to prioritize Xaden, other than Garrick and Bodhi, which are his brothers, right? There's no way she can go to them for whatever she needs because they're always going to do what Xaden says.
Exactly.
And she says she needs Imogen. Poetic since it begins and ends with Imogen. I swear to God, her and Imogen had a plan starting right here, starting this very moment.
I agree. And
that explains the end and why Imogen wiped her memories. Listen, Violet is scheming. She is scheming. Brain
is braining.
So the scheme began here. The scheme with Imogen, the memories.
I love how you said it's poetic that since the beginning of Fourth Wing, how their relationship turned out to what it is now. How amazing is that? And even though Imogen is in super denial that they're best friends. Like, don't even go there. They love each other.
100%.
Even though Imogen won't say it. But I agree with you 100,000%. From this moment forward, this plan was already in motion.
I'm so happy that Imogen has Violet because what happens at the end of the book?
Exactly.
She's going to need Violet as much 100%. As Violet her in Iron Flame, you know? So kind of ship this best friendship.
Since we're on the topic of Imogen wiping Violet's memories, we can assume that the reason why she did that is to not put Xaden at risk, right? And whoever is involved in that very moment, which is the chaos of the end of the book, which we will definitely get there. But we can assume it's for the safety of Xaden. At Chapter 1, Violet, Riddoch, Rhee, and Quinn and their dragons are out patrolling, trying to find any remaining Dark Wielders. In this chapter, we see how much Tairn does not trust his new and, quote, dark, end quote, Xaden. He even starts calling him, quote, the Dark One, end quote. You know what? I'm going to start calling Tairn, quote, the grumpy one. I'm surprised Violet hasn't struck him with that name yet, but Andarna is in support of helping Violet to seek a cure for Xaden, even though the grumpy one does not believe there is a way.
I don't know how Violet mentions that there's a crazy storm.
We
all know now who's doing this damn crazy storm. Quote, I can't remember a more brutal series of storms than the ones that have battered the War College in the last 2 weeks, end quote, which follows right after they battle. And it makes sense why it's happening at this very moment and who is making it happen. We don't know, but we know.
We can heavily assume.
We definitely heavily. It was that fucking bitch. But you know what? I didn't know here. And I was like, why is it so stormy? Is it because Lilith died? R.I.P. Lilith.
Yeah, at the time I was like, all right, a crazy storm. All right, let's go.
I was like, Lilith. I was just like, Lilith is not here to control the weather anymore. So whatever. But now, knowing what I know, it was a plan. It was a scheme. Also, how fucking badass is it that even while he's fucking Venin, Xaden killed 17 out of 31 Venin kills. And those mofos are hard as fuck to kill. Yo, remember in Fourth Wing when Serena says that one Venin decimated a town and yet they managed to kill 31 cadets.
Okay, Bezgayev. And Orisha, technically.
Yo, baddies.
Hey.
And Peromio.
Yes.
Cue Riddock and Atrum almost crashing into Tairn and Vi, and Tairn being pissed as fuck. And Atrum squawking when Tairn smacks his teeth by his head. Of course, Tairn, as you said earlier, is the grumpy one. He is also loyal as fuck because he says, quote, do not mistake unflinching support of you, my mate, and Andarna for any form of faith in him. He don't want to help, but he's still down for his 3 girls. First of all, this is bringing this. You know what this is giving? My husband who has to deal with twin daughters and a wife.
Shout out to Steph's Brian. Shout out
to my Brian who literally lives this life. Who's like
girl dad,
and has a Latina wife. So
damn,
Brian, you're a real one. Shout out to you.
I just want to know, can we talk about how Atrum is only 20-something years old? I love that.
Yo,
I
don't even know anything about these dragons. And I love that this book gave us more insight on dragons and their riders and how different. Because you assume, I don't know if you assume, but I assumed that they all were like broody, like Tairn.
That's what I thought too.
And like they're literally
except
not.
Andarna. Andarna's the only like.
Andarna is a girly pop. She's just like a little girly pop.
She's like a sassy girl.
Side note, in this chapter, I love the mention of Malik because I'm wondering if he is the other god that favors Violet, especially when she says, quote, maybe the god of death will curse me for keeping my mother's personal journals, but it's not like I wouldn't have a few choice of words for him should we meet anyway. And quote, okay, Violet, not afraid of no god, not even the god of death.
She has no fear.
She's got BDE energy right here. I'm like, ooh. Okay.
This is why we love Violet.
And also, like, Malik is brought up so much that there is no way he is not important.
And there's no way he doesn't have his own island.
Word. Where? What? Why didn't we go to that island?
Where's his island at?
I want to go to his island. People? I want to go to his island. Side note, I did not even see Dune in the picture of her vibe, so I was kind of like, whoa. Because I definitely saw Malik in her picture and we didn't even go to that aisle. So, que lo que.
I love the mention of Riddick's power in this moment, and it notes how he's getting much stronger, right? To note that he even froze the door shut and no one could freaking open the damn door. And we see more later on of what he's capable of. So I love that he specifically is also getting stronger, and I can only imagine everyone else and how they're strengthening their signets. Tairn is not the only one worried. Imogen and Garrick also expressed their concerns about Xaden being too close to Violet. And I laughed out loud when I read what Imogen said, quote, but please say you didn't tell your fearsome foursome everything about why we're doing this, end quote. No shit. Come on. They're the Iron Squad, okay?
The Iron Squad, they're baddies. I also love the mention of how Xaden is upset with Violet for telling Imogen for burdening her with the knowledge. Cutie boy. XOXO, love you, daddy, zaddy. Burden me with all you got to give, boo.
He thinks he can fix everything himself, except the help.
But that's how he's been. He's been alone.
He needs
He
knows he has a whole army of fandom ready to help him.
When Imogen tells Violet that Garrick and Bodhi and herself were discussing Violet's sleeping arrangements, she's kind of like, back the fuck all the way off. She's sleeping with her mans. Fuck the world. They also discuss Xaden's broodiness since Imogen is on Xaden watch. And I find that comical because how can you watch Xaden? Xaden is Xaden.
Mm-hmm. And we also see Violet stepping into her leadership role here as she is leading her friends to find Andarna's kind. As they are visiting Sawyer, who is in the healer's quadrant, she explains to them that she has a list ready to go of who she wants to bring with her on this expedition.
I love seeing Violet step into this role because she truly is made for leading, especially with her mind of a scribe and heart of a rider. Mm-hmm. Imogen leaves, and finally Violet meets up with her squad, who's with Sawyer, who lost his leg in the Battle of Bethgaiath. Also, Colonel Chandler, the commander of retired riders. Fuck you for assuming that is what Sawyer wants.
No, okay? Sawyer is going to be with his Iron Squad.
Put some respect on Sawyer's name.
Mm-hmm. I'm so happy that in this book we got to see him ride Sleek again. That was very heartfelt moment. I have to bring this up. So when Imogen and Violet are having a conversation and Imogen tells Violet that she's basically leading her own rebellion, Violet responds by saying she is doing whatever it takes to save Xaden. Fair. She adds, quote, including the mission to find Andarna's kind, end quote. And she continues, quote, that's different, and I'm not leading as much as I am selecting a leader, hopefully, end quote. Okay, guys, just to solidify more, the plan was planning, okay? The plan that was executed at the end of Onyx Storm is already in motion from this very moment, from this chapter, because
she was scheming
from the jump, because she even pointed out again, just to solidify, she even clarifies to say, quote, it sounds the same, but it's not, end quote. Okay? Damn right it isn't. What could Takaris want, though? Could Violet be going back to Takaris to strike another deal? Takaris may finally get his wish to, quote, collect. And remember, in Iron Flame, he's known to collect people. Okay. And it's funny that in Iron Flame, he says that she knows what her wildest dreams are, and it's to give, quote, peace for him, end quote. Him meaning Xaden. Obviously, I know at the time it was meant for him to have peace with all the weight on his shoulders and everything, etc. But could it be a double meaning? You never know.
I love that you picked up on that because the plan was planning from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And Violet is so selective, mm-hmm. even with the readers, even in her mind of what she lets us know is really her plan.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Just so you know, it's triple confirmed, guys. And Andarna's mission is separate than this new mission that was executed at the end of Onyx Storm. Moving on to chapter 2. I just have to quote the beginning of this. Quote, the rarest of signets, those that rise once in a generation or century, have manifested concurrently with an equal twice in our records, both critical times in our history, but only once have the 6 most powerful walk the continent simultaneously. As fascinating as the spectacle must have been, I would rather not live to see it happen again, end quote. A study of signets by Major Dalton Cineros.
But why? But why don't you want to see it again? Like, why?
Girl, it's probably chaos. Can you imagine?
I kind of love chaos.
I mean, we love chaos. And who do you think the 6 most powerful signets were? We know lightning, shadows, right? Intrinsic. Could it be like a distance walker, like Garrick? Or forgive me, I can't think of the proper name of his signet right now. Or what else? I'm curious to know what exactly those first 6 signets were.
Definitely Siphon.
That's a good one.
You know that
absolutely
alone is the generation's strongest Siphon.
Mm-hmm.
I know you said intrinsic, but I have to bring up Dane because he has more than just reading memories.
100%.
Remember, guys? Too much power? What you mean?
And he knew about it.
Dane, are you the new brother?
Oh, should
why
we
you got so much power?
Should we dare?
Should I? anything is on the table.
Could Kath have bonded Dane's previous family member?
Listen, the dragons, we know now, had a plan, selected their riders for a reason. They were building an army.
Exactly. They're making them as powerful as they possibly can. And side note, guys, if you know from previous episodes, we found Winifred, who's Nolan's wife. The reason why I bring her up is because in past episodes, I was like, what happened to Winifred? She just poof, disappeared after Nolan basically betrayed Violet. I was curious about what happened to her and Nolan, but apparently they're okay and well in Bisgayeth. I love how violent Andarna is, as she tells Violet, quote, bring their bodies outside once you're done killing them so we can roast them for fun, end quote. Oh my God. I love Andarna for who she is. Damn those Irids for thinking otherwise. Here we go. Why is Jack so important to this story? Why do Venin want him so badly? He's someone's important baby, but who? I'm sure the Venin don't care for the other captured Venin throughout this time, but they all want Jack for some reason. Theophany is introduced here, not officially, but it's the first time we see her. For a maven to come and retrieve Jack Barlow, dude, he's pretty significant, right? At this point.
Pause. We know it's that crazy ass storm was because Theophany was there on the mission to, I don't think rescue Jack. I think she was trying to take Jack from Berwyn. I don't think she was there on a rescue mission. I think she was on a sabotage mission to take Jack.
To give him back to whoever her leader is.
Right, because I assume at the end of Onyx Storm, when Panchak says, I am the one that gives you access to your son, he says, I have another one. I think Jack may be Berwyn's son. And that is why we know that Theophany is going hard for Violet because she doesn't want her to go with Berwyn. So I think Theophany was there on a mission to kidnap Jack so that he doesn't end up with Berwyn. And she was using her freaking storm wielding power to make that crazy ass snowstorm so they can get into Bisgayeth.
And that makes a lot more sense because I'm like, why is everyone after Jack? But again, that doesn't take away from Jack being important. Another thing I found interesting here is when the dark-haired Venin warns the others to not kill Violet and that they, quote, need her, end quote. And Violet thinks to herself that they need her to control Xaden, which is italicized, by the way, which can be true. But what if they know a certain path they take Violet could be the one to make Xaden truly Venin? Instead of controlling Xaden, they are hoping she makes Xaden become who they want him to become at the end of this book. Could they have someone with precognition, just like Arik, on their side of the army?
We learned a lot about that in this book, right? We learned when there is a dark wielder with a crazy ass signet, there is an answer in the magic in, regular schmegular humans.
Exactly.
So personally, I think maybe it could definitely be.
That's why Arik probably manifested as a precog, because maybe there's someone on their end doing that.
Absolutely. And I actually think that Theophany and Berwyn are actually enemies because I don't think in Veninous they're all together. I think everybody has their own motive, and I think Theophany and Berwyn have different motives, although the motive I think that they both share is taking Violet. I think Berwyn's plan, which was a smart plan, was to control Xaden to leash Violet.
That was a smart plan. I don't think the Maven is the last stage per se of Veninism. I think there's more. I think there's another level beyond Maven, because again, it doesn't make sense to me that Theophany, who's a Maven apparently, came into this book, got defeated, and that can't be the big bad boss. There has to be more higher up Venin than that, and we don't know, right?
I think so too. I have to agree with you because there's so much information that we find about the Venin in this. We didn't know they had powers. We didn't know they had signets to counteract human signets. Mm-hmm. We didn't know any of that. The Venin are the answer, or let me change that. The humans and their signets and their dragons are the answer, are the balance to the Venin, to the Wyvern, to their signets.
I agree. Or it just goes to show that in Fourth Wing, the most they knew was a maven, and they didn't even know what a maven looked like. So it just goes to show again how much information was limited to Bezgaith, and to show how much they were so unprepared compared to the outside world. So I 100% believe there's more levels to this.
I agree. We don't know nearly enough
No.
about the Venin.
We don't.
I know they wanted power and that's why they channeled, but I just feel like now that we have Xaden, who's a Venin, I just think there's more, right?
Oh, 100%.
Because Xaden didn't channel because he wanted more power necessarily. He channeled to save Violet, and later on he channels to save Sigale and save everyone there. So I don't think it's just black and white. I think villains are always, there's always a gray area, and I want to know more about that gray area. I want to understand that gray area more. And I know it's book 3. But I'm intrigued by the villains.
I think Berwyn and Theophany were both trying to impress their big boss, or the big boss above that.
100%. Because Theophany even kind of alludes to her getting Violet is going to bring her back into the good graces of somebody.
I have been paying a very unhealthy close attention to Xaden's shadows throughout this whole book. Xaden's shadows always show some affection for Violet, like in this moment. As she mentions, she recognizes the shadows as home. The shadows yank her back to safety and brush her cheeks gently. Just love this scene. And I also, guys, Xaden has been doing some sneaky work, because remember, Violet is still a second year in this whole scenario. They didn't move up yet, and Xaden was a first-year lieutenant. No one has moved up. Violet is not a third year, and Xaden is not a second year lieutenant. Yet, Violet notes that his flight leathers don't have any markings besides a second year lieutenant rank, which is italicized, by the way, which is the same rank as Barlow's guards, she noted. Sus is not even the word. What's going on? I think Xaden has been playing dress up in order to constantly come and talk to Barlow. And of course, Garrick, being Garrick, is coming along with his best friend, also wearing the same thing. I think they are sneaky and up to something. What do you think?
I think that Xaden, while Violet is scheming, I think Xaden is scheming in his own thing and setting his chess pieces exactly where he needs to be. We know he set chess pieces at the end of this book, but he is setting things up for the end of this book. Exactly. He also is scheming at the same time. Violet is scheming, and they are not really communicating here because Xaden is scared to hurt Violet, and Violet just wants to not burden him with the information of her plans. So,
and can I just note something? Isn't it ironic, right? Because now we can assume that, Imogen and Garrick are, going to be together, hopefully. It's so funny that Garrick knows everything shady that Xaden's doing, and Imogen knows everything shady that Violet's doing. And they're both like,
wow, poetic again.
Poetic. Rebecca, you're just full of poems. Oh my God. So Xaden tenses when Garrick mentions Barlow will be dead within the week. Tenses, guys. When does fucking Xaden Ryerson tense? Okay. All right. Xaden knows the significance of Barlow that everyone else doesn't know. Or maybe he doesn't know exactly, but he knows something. And we kind of get a little snippet at the end of the book where he does say that he can't kill Berwyn. So there's some type of thing between Venin that they can't kill each other for some reason. So he could have the same thing with Barlow, that he can't kill him, or something will happen if he does along those lines. But he is still keeping secrets, okay? I want to know something that could heavily be foreshadowing and what book 4 could be about. Guys, literally, it's right here on this fucking page. And as Xaden and Violet have 5 minutes to themselves in the stairwell, Violet tells him he still is himself. And to prove her point, she asks him if he loves her. And Xaden responds, quote, I could reach the rank of a maven, lead the armies of dark wielders against everyone we care for, and watch every vein in my body turn as red as I channel all the power in the continent, and I would still love you. What I did doesn't change that. I'm not sure anything can. End quote. Guys, the fuck? This is definitely foreshadowing. It could be possibly what is happening in book 4, especially because of what happened at the end of this book. Rebecca just gave us the ultimate Easter egg.
I have to say, though, I kind of love that. I kind of love that they're going to be on 2 different fronts. I do think that there's going to be a part of Xaden that's even colder and icier.
Oh,
And
100%.
And I think he's going to channel more and then really forget Violet. I think he's going to feel a connection to her, but I think they're going to battle it out. And I got to was. Am I toxic for that? Am I toxic for that? You know what I want to see? I want to see them battle it out. And then I want him to freaking take her as a prisoner and lock her up. And then, prisoner fantasies.
Steph is all about the dark romance. Oh my God, I love you. Rebecca did say when she was in New York City, shout out to Rebecca, we had the best time ever, that she did say that her favorite villain is Xaden. So here we go. He's going to be an ultimate villain, guys. Be prepared for book 4. We have 2 more books, guys. And you already know her books are action-packed. So you can only imagine what's going to happen. All right, chapter 3. Let's break down the whole description from the beginning of the chapter, which is an unsent correspondence of General Lilith Sorrengail to who we can assume is Daddy Sorrengail. Lilith basically says Violet is just like her father. Quote, when she finally and truly gives that heart, I fear it will overrule the other gifts you've given her, and the logic will cede its voice to love, end quote. Which it absolutely did. Violet truly gave her heart to Xaden, and it's not that her logic stopped. I believe it's more that her love for him is what's guiding her choices a lot right now. But she has not lost her logic, y'all. She wants to cure him because it's him that's Venin. It's Xaden out of all people who turned Venin. If any random person turned Venin, obviously they wouldn't be thinking about a cure as, I'm sure they would, but not as urgently. But the fact that it's Xaden, it became a main priority along with winning this war.
Can we talk about how Lilith says, I fear it will override the other gifts you've given her, and logic will cede its voice to love. Now, we know she was dedicated to Dune. That was what I'm going to assume is a gift. And there has to be other gifts. One of the excerpts later on in the book says that there's some kind of tension between the god of war, Dune, and the god of love, Loal. So they both require a lot in their dedication. And I think this little piece goes to show how love is kind of winning out on all those other quote unquote gifts.
I love that. And I love how you brought that whole up with the gods, because that thing had my mind spiraling this whole entire book. To finish off the blurb in the beginning of the chapter, there's a section that says, quote, if her first 2 liaisons are any indication of what we might expect, gods help her, my love. I'm afraid our daughter has atrocious taste in men, end quote. Guys, we were right about Halden, y'all. Okay? Woo, woo. He is atrocious. And he throws tantrums like a child. But who is her other liaison? Who else has Violet dated? We only met one so far. Personally, I don't think her other ex has been introduced yet. I have a feeling we will meet Violet's other lover, and I think he's important considering how her family was always around aristocrats, royalty, etc. And it's important to note that they specifically say her first 2 liaisons. I feel like that is something important to note.
I agree with you. I agree that the second liaison is important because it was important enough for her parents, for her mom to know who that person was. So it has to be important, because if it was just somebody that she was fucking, her mom wouldn't have known.
Exactly.
It had to have been somebody she was dating.
I agree. And it's someone important. Ooh, imagine being in a situation where you see Halden, this other boyfriend of hers, and Xaden together. I would just relish in that. Anyway, and I also was eating up, the whole interaction with Xaden and Halden. I just, chef's kiss. As Garrick tells her, she seems so calm about meeting with the highest aristocrats in their whole kingdom. Guys, this plan that had her memories wiped has been in motion from the jump. The plan, Violet says, quote, I've known this was coming and have a plan. 2 weeks is a lot of time to overthink every possible scenario, end quote. The plan for Violet to wipe her memories, as Imogen did at the end of this book, was probably the worst case scenario, which she has been planning for. Knowing how smart and brilliant Violet is, she definitely planned for that whole thing. That's why she knew she needed Imogen from the beginning. not only for her to be able to put Xaden first, but to be able to wipe Violet's memories so she can't be a liability to Xaden and whoever is involved as she acts as Duchess of Tyrrendor.
She really is like a couple steps ahead of herself
Mm-hmm.
in the scenario. I love her and her brain.
Guys, I need to note this here. As Violet finds out in this meeting that her plan is going to shit, she notes, quote, "My blood hums," end quote. I thought that was an interesting choice of words. Could Violet have untapped power she is unaware about, especially having an incomplete dedication? I went back to Fourth Wing to see how she describes her power rising, and it's always her feeling power around her, right under her skin. But she has never described her blood humming. It's as if it's something that's awakening. Could that be the result of her incomplete dedication? Thoughts?
I think so, because when she's battling Theophany says that there's this pull to the temple, and it is the very thing that makes her who she is.
Exactly. So I thought that was an interesting little note there, Rebecca.
I'm glad you caught on that little tidbit.
Hyperfixating. While Violet and Xaden do the deed, we notice here for the first time that Xaden loses control because he does channel, quote, "without choice," end quote, from the headboard and leaves 2 faint marks. And Violet notes that Xaden looked like he was in an unbearable pain. Just wanted to note that, guys.
By the deed, you know what she means?
It
was getting the 1-finger deal or 2-finger deals. 3-finger deals, probably. I don't know how many fingers are in there, but there was fingers.
Oh my God. And I love how she gave it to us right in chapter 3, like right there, like bam. I was like, oh, wow.
Also, it was like for her, it was like all for Violet. It was something that Xaden wanted to give her. Again, like, you know, without her having to reciprocate. And I think that's kind of poetic of them. Thank you.
This is the poetic podcast.
Well, this is chapter 4 now. And Xaden is spiraling. To be honest, I do not blame him one bit, because he is a man who has always prided himself in control. And in this instance, he is not. Although it was just barely noticeable marks, it is enough to break Xaden, which, my heart. Xaden, I love you. My question is, though, can he truly sense the well of power Violet holds inside of her? And how big is that well inside of her? Thoughts?
That's a good question. I don't even know. And I think Xaden knows something, but I don't think he knows the in-depth of her power. I think he's going to be shocked when she unleashes. That's something Xaden will probably not know for once.
My heart, though, it breaks for Xaden in this chapter, because losing that minuscule amount of control, just 2 barely noticeable marks, sends him back like 10 steps. An act that was so normal for them a few weeks ago is now something that they can no longer do. And Xaden won't cross because his priority is keeping Violet safe.
This scene really demonstrated how channeling from the earth can really affect you unwillingly. Like, this really solidified it for me. Like, oh my God, he really does lose control. And I have something very important to say.
Dime.
Throughout this whole entire thing with the headboard, I couldn't help. Shout out to Cassian. Put your hand on the headboard. I just have to say it. ACOTAR girlies, if you know, you know.
The other side of that same coin, because these two are 2 and 1 in the same, different sides of the same coin. You have poor Violet reeling because Xaden is creating distance. I love seeing Violet's confidence and not allowing him to wallow in self-pity. Unlike in Iron Flame, I think she now feels much more confident in their love and the type of man Xaden is. She basically tells him verbatim, quote, "Are you going to go all broody and try to pull away from me? Because fair warning, I'm not going to let that happen," end quote. This is exactly what I want to see from this woman. Fighting for her love. As we saw in Iron Flame, Xaden will not give her up for nothing. He was fighting for their love, all in Iron Flame. Q, end of Onyx Storm, emotional damage. Okay, bye. Spiraling. Hi, though. It's me again. Mad Woman Theory. Y'all have heard me time and again, and I am confident these 2 are mates. I don't care what you say. Amanda, this one is for you because you hating on me and my theory, but it's my theory. And I love you, Amanda, but yeah, Amanda's
Just so you know.
Amanda's my friend, and she does not believe that they're fated mates. She says it's like an overused trope. You know what? I don't care, Amanda. The way these two push those memories to each other, whether it is through the bond, because in the past, in Fourth Wing, when Kara is trying to get Violet to wield, Xaden is the one that pushes that memory into her. And in this moment, Violet is the one who shares the memory through their bond. So it can't just be Violet's dreamwalking signet. I am confident that they're...
I agree with you 1000%, because I don't think the memory pushing, or whatever you want to call it, is a result of her being a dreamwalker. I do believe that she will expand on her dreamwalker abilities, but I think they are fated mates and have some type of different connection there. There is more to Violet's second signet.
These two, though, they try to move to some semblance of normalcy as they get ready. They discuss the three biggest houses in Tyrrendor are there for negotiations, and Xaden is expected to negotiate for Arisha, especially to get the Poromiel flyers to stay and get Poromiel to help with the fight against Venin. They really do need the flyers. I really hate that in Navarre there's such fucking haters, but I digress. Brennan, Garrick, Bodhi, Imogen, and Llewellyn are all waiting for them right outside the door. I die for the little jealousy that seeps out of Imogen and Garrick.
Teehee. Her being jealous that he was possibly with the flyer. I just imagined this whole scene in my head and I just ate it up. And y'all know that Garrick is my number 2. I love him. Xaden is number 1. Garrick is number 2.
But, like, you notice how he like smiles and his dimple comes out?
Yes, it's like he's like, ooh, she's jealous.
Yeah, he was into it.
He loved it. And she did not pick up on that, clearly. She was just like, whatever.
Mira arrives, bringing a, quote, wooden ruined practice disc from her satchel, end quote, made by Trissa, something that Vi, Mira, and Imogen are scheming. Plot masters.
Hey.
The disc is tempered with 3 runes, 1 for levitation and 2 overlapping for sound shielding and warmth. Okay, Trissa, coming in hot with the runes, queen behavior. This particular disc is part of their secret mission to help with negotiations, help the flyers, and then the deal Violet made with Takaris. What is this deal, Violeta?
Could this be the plan B that was orchestrated at the end of Onyx Storm? This deal that she made with him.
I want to note the small moment when Brennan is coming back and Violet asks Imogen why she was there waiting for Vi. Imogen, when she notices Brennan, decides not to tell her the whole reason why she was truly there. Suspicious as fuck. In addition to Mira and Sigel, Imogen does not trust Brennan, apparently.
I will die on that hill that Brennan is being channeled by Naolan via the rune on his palm. Mad Woman theory time. I just have to say, I will die on that hill. I am 100,000% certain that that's going to happen. I hope I don't regret those words, but it just makes sense. Okay. Everything is just leading up to not trust him.
Something is suspicious because Sigel does not like him. And Brennan lets us know that she has never liked him.
And
why?
And Xaden does note that Sigel is ruthless, yes, but she has never behaved like that with any other character other than Brennan. Like, truly does not like him. Daddy Sorrengail knew, I guess, at the time that Brennan was dead, but I just found it interesting that he said trust Mira and not trust your siblings. But I just thought that was interesting to know.
I find that interesting as well. I can't wait to find out why. In whatever Papa Sorrengail and Mama Sorrengail had planned, each of them, once Brennan died, Mira and Violet had a plan concocted for them. What that is, I don't know. The siblings catch up with Mira finding out Violet is going on a mission to the Isles to find Andarna's kind, which us, the readers, know are the Irids. And Mira is pissed. She does not like Violet putting herself in danger. This close relationship between the sisters, I love you, Mira. I just want to say that from the beginning with my whole chest. I love you, Mira. I want to bring up, since you brought up Cassian, I want to bring up my hate for Nesta. And I don't want to hear it. Because this is how a big sister acts, like Mira, not like Nesta.
Spoiler, guys, Steph really doesn't like Nesta. Just saying.
This is big sister behavior. Anyways, I digress. Brennan sent Mira to Arisha to figure out how long they have until the wards fail. And y'all, It's 6 months. Yikes. We'll truly see how different Brennan and Mira take Violet's safety, with Mira saying, quote, find another way. You can't trade Violet's life for strangers, end quote. To which Brennan quickly replies, quote, now you sound like mom, end quote, which is fucked up when their mom has been dead for only 2 weeks. Fucked up.
Too soon.
Too soon. To break that conversation down, as we already know, Brennan's allegiance is not to his family. He has played dead for the last 6 years. He has not put his family above his own motives. And I'm not saying Mira is necessarily right, but you can want to save people while wanting to keep your own loved ones safe first. And that is not how Brennan feels.
In addition to saying that his allegiance is not with his family, don't forget, okay, in the book of Brennan, he does state that the loyalty is to his squad versus above everyone else. He does say that in the book of Brennan. Don't quote me word for word, but that's pretty much what he says.
Right. He is. That's who he is.
Exactly.
And he's showing that. He's showing us
Exactly.
that in this very moment.
Exactly.
I think he loves his sisters, but I think they are not his priority. Mira, in a heated moment, throws a rune disc to Brennan. He guesses what Vi and Mira are planning. Why are we not on the plan clearly? And why don't we know the truth of what is happening? Rebecca!
Insert Klaus here. Shout out to Vampire Diaries and the originals girlies.
There's so many puzzle pieces and they don't connect.
I was just having this conversation with one of my friends. I was like, it is book 3. Like, we have to come back and remember it's only book 3. We can't get all the answers in book 3.
No, we can't. But let's talk about chapter 5. The excerpt in the beginning says, quote, never forget that dragon riders have been selected, trained, and even bred for cruelty. Expecting mercy from a rider is a mistake, for none will be given, end quote. Chapter 1, the tactical guide to defeating the dragons by Colonel Elijah Jobin. Pause, motherfucking pause. Did anybody notice the name of that book? The Tactical Guide to Defeating the Dragons? Excuse fucking me, ma'am, Rebecca. What do you mean?
I love how you caught this because this went over my head. I was just so into the book. I'm like, all right, let's go. I love that you caught this. And where is this book located? Because we have to know who these people are.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Onyx Storm theory TikTok has me all fucked up in the head because now I remember Violet talking about the fables of the Baron and saying how the book, quote, even demonizes dragons, end quote. What you mean, fables of the Baron also talks about, quote, folktales of what happens when humans defile the power channeled to them. No doubt they were written as a parable to warn us of the dangers of bonding dragons, end quote. And another Fourth Wing excerpt, quote, collections of stories that warn us against the lure of magic and even demonize dragons, end quote. Sorry, I'm coming in with so many quotes. But lastly, quote, some of the fables tell stories of the first riders who learned to bond with dragons and how those bonds could turn on the rider if they tried to consume too much power. Others talk about a great evil that spread across the land as man became corrupted by dark magic and turned into creatures known as Venin, who created flocks of winged creatures called wyvern and scourged the land of all the magic in thirst of more power. Another talks of the dangers of wielding power from the ground instead of the skies, as one could easily start drawing magic from the earth and eventually be driven mad.
Guys,
these excerpts from Fourth Wing just show how just because you channel your magic through the dragons, it can still corrupt. But also, why would dragons need defeating? Do dragons channel from the ground or from the sky? Because when they go to the Isles, they don't have their power except for Tairn through his connection of Andarna. Just think about it, y'all. Anyways.
Do you think that Tairn also channels from the sky, or is it just Andarna?
I think through their bond that he has with Andarna, because they're all linked.
Yeah.
I think they were able to communicate because she channels from the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Because no, if Tairn was channeling from the sky, then he would have his connection to Sigale and Xaden, and they don't. Violet and Xaden don't have their connection. So their connection is coming from Andarna because she channels from the sky. And I believe that dragons channel from the ground. And that is why, again, just like it corrupts humans, it can corrupt dragons. And we do see dragons not all be good.
Like you said, dragons aren't always good, right? There's some dragons that, for example, there's Bade, soulless.
What do we really know about Kodo? I mean, he was there. He was down to help fire the wards, but like, he really keeping secrets too.
Him and Tairn got tension and shit.
So much tension. And also in Fourth Wing, Violet always talks about like how General Melgreen kind of freaks her out, and she thinks it might be Venin.
Could be. I mean, Panchek. Look at Panchek. You know,
that motherfucker. First of all, I don't even want to go there yet.
All right, let's go. Let's talk about chapter 5.
Violet and the others wait on news. They discuss a plan A and a plan B. Plan A being whatever is being discussed at negotiations. They notice some drama unfolding in front of them, which seems to be between the Flyers and the Riders, since they just keep fighting each other. Kind of like what happened in Orisha when the Flyers first joined them there. Comparatively, they act the same. Violet calls for Dane, and he follows her like a puppy. No questions asked. There's a challenge being issued between a Flyer and a Rider, being orchestrated by a wing leader. But Violet don't give a fuck, because when someone points a sword at Cat, she squares up without thinking. Okay, Queen Violet defending her subject, or Duchess.
Duchess, honey.
BRB, while I scream. Violet has a type. She had a prince, and now she has a duke. Okay,
I know.
girl.
Look at her important baddie. Okay, queen. Can we just say that Holden's toxic?
He's so toxic. But the truth is, the fights cannot happen. Flyers can't fight a Rider because their chances of staying will go to shit. The Flyers are damned if they do, and they're damned if they don't, which is such bullshit. And now, not only are the Flyers and Riders involved, but the Dragons and Griffins show up ready to square up too. You know which dragon doesn't show? Tairn. Because he's like, bitch, handle your own shit.
He's tired. Like Rebecca said in New York, he's like, I don't want to be here. I got these 20-year-olds.
It's like, handle your own shit. You a baddie? Was this Xaden and Tairn's plan? To empower Violet to lead? Now that Dane stands up for the Flyers and Fourth Wing, Violet is all like, not on my fucking watch is anybody going to hurt my bestie. Dane, I love you now, and I did love you before.
Sorry.
Okay,
that I talked all that shit.
I love you, Zane. I can save him too.
You can save him too. I talked a lot of shit about Dane, but the redemption arc is redemptioning. Okay,
Dane and Slain. If you know, you know.
Slain.
Dane's new name is Slain. If you know, you know.
You heard it here first. Okay.
And in truth, the wing leader, Ara Fine Bitch, she points out how breaking the riot when they left Navarre for Orisha really hurt them all and made them weak in general. And it kind of is the truth. Bind Bitch decides not to go for hand-to-hand combat, and she takes off her gloves because this bitch is going to use her signet, aka fire. In this whole moment, though, we have Violet trying to figure out how she's going to stop this, but not acknowledging that Dane does not hold the power nor the respect to end this. Andarna, though, Andy knows. She keeps repeating to Violet, quote, Dane isn't the strongest, end quote. And alas, our bright girl gets the picture, because what is stronger than mind reading and fire wielding? Lightning, bitch. So our girl does what she does best. Throws her motherfucking daggers like a badass bitch. She don't even use her signet. She just uses her fucking badassery, dagger power, and pins this bitch's glove that she has just fucking flung. Obviously hits with precision because our girl never fucking misses. Never. And Violet fucking Sorrengail is like, quote, Rebel is so outdated. We prefer the term revolutionary. And if you're going to wield, then it's me you'll be dealing with. End quote.
Hey, Violet.
Violeta. When you know what? When Violet acts like a badass bitch, I'm just gonna start calling her Violeta.
When she said that, literally gave me goosebumps. I was like, this right here, when they make that show or movie, this better be a very big scene, because that was amazing. Chef's kiss, Rebecca.
Rebel is so outdated.
The sass on her. Ooh,
girl, yes,
love it.
Fucking queen.
Love it.
Because
eat it up.
She is the strongest one there.
And didn't Ree, her bestie back in Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, say, he's not the strongest, you are. That's right, Ree. Ree knew from the jump. So for the first time, we decided to put up an Instagram story and see if anyone had questions or theories they wanted us to discuss. And we are going to go on and choose some that we will discuss. From at Megan_NIEDS asks, quote, also not a question, but I think Liam is a Venin, end quote. So I've seen this theory all over TikTok, which I'm sure you did too.
I saw it.
Yes, so we could talk about it. At the end of Onyx Storm, there's a line, don't quote me, because this is off the top of my head right now, but there's a line that Xaden says in his POV that is something along the lines of, he should be dead. Right? When I first saw this theory, I had goosebumps. So the big question is, who is this other person that became Venin just now that obviously Xaden knows? So one of the big ones was like, oh my God, is it Liam?
I don't believe it's Liam. Rebecca has said time and time and time again, he was a perfect character. He had no growth, and she knew from the beginning she was going to kill him off. I don't believe that because seeing Rebecca at town hall and the way she answered, I think she didn't act like she had ulterior motives, because sometimes she answered things and you were like, something, right, by her demeanor. But I do not think Liam is coming back. Sadly, R.I.P. Liam. I love you, Liam. But I don't think he is the Venin. And when they mention he's supposed to be dead, Xaden is talking about Berwin. He's not talking about the quote-unquote brother. He's talking about Berwin because he thought he killed him at the end of Iron Flame. He thought when he went over the ravine, he was dead. But he's not. He just has a crazy-ass freaking scar on his face. He was not killed. So he thought this whole time that he was dead.
Another question from Megan Needs, quote, who owes Xaden a favor? End quote. The priestess. That's what I got from it. So
that's what I got from it as well.
Basically, they went and saved the temple, and then the priestess owed him a favor. And then the priestess, in that favor, married Xaden and Violet to make a whole thing short.
Also, Violet and Xaden protected the Temple of Dune in Tyrrendor. And I think that kind of was where the favor comes from.
From at darkest_reads asks, quote, I wonder what the connection is between the Venin and the Irids. Any theories? End quote. I believe that the Venin definitely know, obviously, about the Irids. I think they want the Irids. They just don't know where they are. I think the Irids are in a very specific location.
The Irids, again, channel from the sky. And there's untapped power in the sky because specifically only the Irids do it. And Violet.
If the Venin aren't going directly after them right now, I think that the Irids are they're not in hiding, but they're very hard to find. They just won't come out and just be like, hey, what's going on? So I think the Venin are actively searching for them and probably want to get rid of them because they know that they could kill them. Another question by at Darkest Reads, quote, in Violet's dream in all 3 books, whose dreams could she have been in? End quote. I think Violet was in mostly Xaden's dreams. I would definitely have to look back and read all those dreams again. Good point. But for now, I think it's mostly Xaden's dreams, except for the one that was Serena's dream, obviously, with involving Kat. What do you think, Steph?
Would have to go back and really look into the dreams that she was having. But I think I have this Madwoman theory. I think not only was she in Xaden's dreams with the Venin, Madwoman theory, I think Violet is the answer to Berwin, because I think Berwin is a dreamwalker. And I think Violet is the answer to Berwin. I think that's so I
true.
think she's the counter signet for that.
Violet's not at the manipulation level yet, but she will get there. I'm sure of it.
I think she is. But furthermore, I think that not only was she in Xaden's dreams and Serena's dreams, I think maybe what if she was in like Berwin's dreams? Because at that point where she like stabs herself and he notices that she did that in the dream, he's like, surprise. So like, what if she inadvertently went into his dream? I don't know.
True. We would definitely have to look back. But guys, we did it.
We did it.
It is our first breakdown episode. We hope you enjoy. Thank you.
I actually had so much fun. It was like so.
I had a lot of fun making this episode.
First of all, I will not exist if you don't do the summaries again. That was so good. I am obsessed. I don't think I can do that. I think you are chef's kiss.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I really had fun doing the summaries. I just had a good time. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for supporting us. Thank you for always listening. Thank you for everything. We love you and appreciate you. And if you have any more questions or theories you want us to discuss, message us. We will mention you. We would love to discuss it. We love talking about theories. I'm in my theory world right now, in my grief. Stay tuned for our next episode. We will be posting a new episode every Tuesday.
Breaking down this book right now is filling the void. So I'm really going to cherish the feels I get as I reread each chapter slowly. The next episode, we meet a silver-haired Venin who is tied to so much that happens in this book. She is a big character. And if you know, you know, obviously it is Theophany. So stay tuned because we are just your local trio of best friends enjoying each other's company. Today is a duo of best friends, but it's okay, Bella. We love you.
Bella, she's coming back. Don't worry,
She's coming back
guys.
next week. She'll be here. And we do what we do best, which is talking and discussing and theorizing books. This podcast is so much fun to make when you have Carolina who does amazing summaries and makes me literally laugh.
And when you have Estefania who brings the Latina sass and the deep dives, and my brain was definitely hurting at the end of this.
Remember, guys, please, please, please remember to follow us on @Enchanted Circle Pod on Insta and TikTok, and follow/subscribe to our podcast channel on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or YouTube. Until next time on the Enchanted Circle